Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Case Close. And today we got a very interesting topic, one that I'm glad I think is long overdue. We're going to be talking about finances today. My name is Solomon Jones, aka Solon TV 84. I'm the co-host on my own channel on this one. And then below me, we got a guy called the Ikester.
The
Ikester.
Ikester, aka Super Chat Jesus, live and direct. You know what it is. All right, tell them who you are. I got Ramil to my left or right, depending on what you're looking at.
Well, here I'll jump in. I'm Dr. Thunder. I'm a musician, professor, and social commentator. Uh, yeah, I'm, uh,
I think
I'm I'm
Ramil's got
ready
a
to
hella
go.
delay or something.
No, I can hear now. No, okay, go ahead. I had the YouTube open at the same time.
Got
I
it,
Go
got
ahead,
it.
Ramil.
okay. What's going on? Y'all know what it is, man. We here talk about some money, so let's get it.
And I'm Chantel Simone, excited for this conversation that's moving the Black community forward. So I'm ready.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Okay. I'm gonna kick us off. All right. Now, the topic, what it says on the stream, the title basically says, hey, you need more money than you think. Now, as we go along in this conversation, there are going to be many reasons that come to the fore as to why this is the case, things that have changed in the economy. But basically, what we're saying is look, people are still living in the 30s in their mind. They're still living in some kind of fantasy land where they think that they're going to have that dream that was sold to them by Wells Fargo or Bank of America, the American dream. You're going to have two and a half kids and a dog and a picket fence and you're going to retire and all that crap. In reality, that's not going to happen. In reality, it's going to be a lot harder. In reality, more of it is on you. Well, we can talk about the fact that there is the job security is not what it used to be. Pensions are not what they used to be, right? Globalization has made it such that, hey, you're not going to just work at Walmart and you need to skill up. You're not competing globally. All these kinds of things are true. Okay. And the whole lie of infinite growth, if you want to get deep into the economy, the lie of infinite growth that, oh, we're just going to continue to grow and grow and grow was a big myth. As a matter of fact, most of the middle class, so-called middle class, is deep in debt. That's not growth. That's going backwards. Okay. But I wanted to just start out with the impressions in our mind when it comes to the statement, you need more money. For me, what comes to mind is the retirement aspect, right? That's one thing. Like, okay, if I have to go chill for 20 to 25 years or 30 years and never work, how much do I need? When can I get it? How do I get it? What if I have to retire early? That kind of a thing, right? Another thing that also comes to mind is some people think, okay, maybe I'll just try to take care of my 2 square feet around me, right? But how about emergency? Or how about your family? Now, maybe some people don't get like, F them kids, right? How do they say it? Like,
That's
F
me.
them kids. Ramil's gonna be like, F them kids and F auntie, whatever. But here's the thing when Hulk Hogan had to sue Gawker, right? Hulk Hogan, a few years ago, they released a sex tape of him. He had to sue Gawker. He did not have enough money. He had to get bailed out by Peter Thiel, a billionaire. In other words, even a millionaire did not have enough money for certain things which popped up in his life, right? So how about when that emergency comes up for you? How about when something happens and you're like, hey, you know what? My kid's got to go to private school. Shout out to Dr. Thunder, right? Regarding that one, right? You're like, hey, you know what? I don't want my kid in the public school system anymore because of X, Y, and Z. How about that kind of a situation? So there are two things for me that come to mind again when with this question of you need more money. Number one is the retirement question, and then number two is all those extra things which people tend not to think about, whether it be emergencies or whether it be taking care of people outside of your little, square, and so on and so forth. So let's just kind of go counterclockwise. We'll start with Ramil. What hits you? What strikes you when that statement gets said that, hey, you need more money than you think? First, Ramil, and then we'll go to Chantel, Dr. Thunder Solo.
The first thing that hits me is the truth. You always need more money. Even when you think you have enough, you're gonna need more. Life is unexpected, and everything in this world we do costs money. They gonna charge you for breathing soon. So the thing is, when I always talk about finding new ways to make money, the average person would think I'm greedy. or something wrong with you. You always money hungry, so I can hang out with regular people and shit. But I'm always trying to learn new skills so I can make money in more different ways. You know what I mean? Ads, copywriting, marketing, whatever case I could do, because it's never gonna be enough. I want another house and another house and another house. So people who think like that are just highly ambitious. They're not greedy though. People always hate Jeff Bezos, blah blah blah, but he has that mindset. You always need more money. Any successful corporation has that mindset. So, what hits me is the truth, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with always wanting more, because I mean, as the matrix gets bigger, it's in your best interest that you get bigger as well, quote unquote. But yeah.
Chantel, what you got for us?
I agree with you guys. We definitely need to push the need for more money in our community. But then on the flip side, I've been seeing that a lot of people have been living in this like delusion where they think that everybody is going to be a millionaire by doing nothing. Everybody think, oh, if I sell hair, if I sell lashes, or do nails, it's going to make me a millionaire. I think not only do we need to push that, hey, we need more money, we also need to push the importance of investing and thinking long term, and it's not just quick money. It's unfortunate to see how many people are chasing this whole quick money idea and not thinking of generational wealth, thinking of how we can buy land, set ourselves up for our kids and our future. It's not just us. So yeah, I definitely think this conversation is needed a lot more often, and needed on a more realistic point of view, not just, hey, yeah, trade with me or do this and then we'll make money right now. And then also too, I think we live in a society, in a time where so many people are um caught up with something on social media more than they're actually wanting to build generational wealth. They say they want to do generational wealth because that's the thing to say now on social media, but no one is actually highlighting the dark side, for lack of better words, of entrepreneurship, and the hard work that you're going to have to put in to get to the point where we all think we're entitled to. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yes, Dr. Thunder, what you got? Because Chantel and Ramil already bring in the practical aspect of it, which we'll get into for sure. We're going to get into the nitty gritty of how you're going to get that money, the realistic ways of getting that money. Chantel mentioned the things that are not going to work. Like if you're going to be the 251st millionth person that's selling lashes on Instagram and thinking that's the way, it's not going to be the way, bro. Like, I like the fact that Ramil talked about skills. Skills are the biggest number one thing. Remember, you're competing globally. Okay, you're competing globally with the Indians and the Chinese and so on and so forth. So, Dr. Thunder and then Solo. When that statement is said, you need more money than you think, what hits you? What strikes you?
Yeah. So Ike and I have a show on his channel on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time called Getting Ish Done. It's called Getting Ish Done. And we did a show recently called Greed is Good. And so, I mean, so you have somewhat of an idea of what my response is going to be. Now, that was a sort of an attention grabber. Greed is good. There are aspects of greed that can become negative, but so long as you're using your abundance, if you have a reason for your abundance, if you need more to sustain yourself and or to get to the place where you can actually start to pull communities up, that's going to take a lot more money than you think. My dad frequently told me when I was growing up, he says, you can work now or you can work later. And understand what he was talking about is when you're young, you can work more hours, you can work harder, you can put more time in because you will recover. But once you get beyond a certain age, you no longer will be able to recover as quickly. And once more, if you did the right things when you were young, then you can set yourself up in the future to not to have to work as hard, at least not to work so hard that it can be unhealthy for you.
Sweat equity,
You
right?
know, yeah, there are, I have heard around the manosphere frequently this idea of uh, investing in Purina because of all of the all of the buy a dog and die alone going on. But I'd say that there's another reason. That's going to be for all the people that are eating dog food because they didn't do what they were supposed to do to set themselves up. They bought into you're not, money's not everything. Money's not going to make you happy. All of that kind of stuff. All that goofy stuff that people say. You have to put the time in now, make the right kinds of decisions now so that you're not eating dog food when you're supposed to be retired.
All right, Mr. Crypto Solo himself. All right, we're talking about one of your favorite topics. We're right here in this financial arena. And I like the fact, Dr. Thunder, that you mentioned the whole money doesn't make you happy thing, which is one of my pet peeves. But I'll touch upon it as we move on to the next thing. But Solo, you don't have as much money as you need. You need more money than you think. How does that strike you? What comes to mind?
Yeah, so what comes to mind as my camera is being goofy is the recent report that inflation has surged by 6.2% since last October, right? When you look at the average millennial, they earn 20% less than the baby boomers did at this stage in their life, even though they're more educated than the boomer. So education is up nearly 40% for people the ages of 25 to 37, but yet they're earning less money, right? And when you start to look at all the numbers of inflation in regards to millennials and Generation Z making less money, where the economy is, where we're headed, you're definitely going to need to have money. And the reality is now, when you look at how the world is operating, one thing that I learned, and I had to learn it really quickly as a guy who flunked out of college because I was more focused on chasing girls than going to school, was that, when the recession happened, that hit everybody hard, right? And so ever since then, I've always been in that mentality. Yo, I gotta always have multiple streams of incomes, different hustles, whatever it may be, right? And so the reality is that we've come to a point now, and I got to co-sign what Chantel says. Everybody wants to have, Instagram and social media had has really amplified the delusion and cognitive dissonance that everybody thinks that, oh, if you post some pictures of you working out or a girl showing her butt, that everybody can become famous, right? Guys think they can become influencers via being marketers and um, what or bodybuilders or what have you, and women are doing the whole OnlyFans type thing and Instagram thing, and yeah, there's money to be made, but the reality is only the top 1% that are making the real money. The other 99%, they're making peanuts at best. And so we all live in that delusion where now everybody wants to, be Instagram famous, be social media famous, TikTok famous, and basically be famous and rich, but not working hard at all. And, I remember when I was younger, I always wondered, why was my dad so hard on me? Like, just tough on me, right? And I realized my dad was hard on me because he didn't want me to be soft. And now that I'm older, I appreciate him for that because I've gone through so many different things, trials and tribulations, stints of being unemployed, money being tight, stuff like that. It really helped in regards to my perseverance and tenacity. And there's also a statistic, which I'll pull up in a moment, but the millennial generation is one of the highest that still lives at home with their parents. You know what I'm saying? I haven't lived with my parents since I was 21. I couldn't imagine living with my parents now as a grown man in his mid 30s. But you have people that are in their mid 30s that are living with their parents because they're not motivated or the job market is trash. Because let's be honest, that with the average income, when you look at it, it's just not a livable wage, right? Even if you are educated, and I know it's the great resignation, and we can get into all of that, but really what it comes down to is that anything that you want in life, one thing that I've learned is it's never going to come easy. Yeah, there's going to be situations where once you figure certain things out, you'll be able to scale it, right? But nothing comes easy. And we're in a generation now where things are tougher. I mean, if you look at the inflation rate, how it's rising, it's worse than it's been in the last 30 years. So things are going to continue to get tougher. People think that things are going to get better with a possible, stock market crash, possible cryptocurrency market crash. If people, and we're looking at a food shortage, right? Supply chain shortage. If people think things are going to get easier, then you gravely mistaken.
Hmm. 100%, 100%, 100%. Yes, yes, yes. As I said, as we continue in the conversation, we're all
Where
gonna
did he go?
drill globalization talked about. It's gonna be. I'm sorry. Am I?
Yeah,
You're
you
okay
back.
now.
You back.
Yeah. What happened?
I don't know. You froze up for a second. Illuminati got you.
Oh, my bad. My bad. They
White
yeah.
man
They're hot
trying
on
to
my
hold you up.
trail. They're hot on my trail. The white man trying to hold me back. So as I mentioned before, as we go ahead here, people are going to drill down on various aspects of the whys, right? Of the whys, and also give data as to what exactly we see. Solo talked about inflation. There's going to be talk about globalization. There's going to be talk about the fact that job stability is not what it used to be, and so on, and so on, and so on. Now, before we get into the practical aspects, I just wanted to kind of, shall we say, buttress some points here that Dr. Thunder brought up, which is, the whole greed is good thing. And along with that, to talk about why, and the fact that people say money's not going to make you happy, that kind of a thing. In other words, that whole kind of weird morality that people bring into it, which typically is an excuse and a way of deflecting when something is really hard. It's sour grapes, right? You guys know what I'm talking about when I say sour grapes, right? In the chat, you can't get it. Therefore, you're like, screw it. It's evil anyways. It's the bad people. It's easier for a rich man. It's harder for a rich man to get into heaven than, all that stuff. All that stuff starts coming out. So the fact is, though, you live in an economic planet. Forget the economic planet aspect. Let's talk about the political system under which we are in. The best political system that we have so far, not that it's great, but it's better than all the others, is the one that is based on this low end needs, such as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In other words, it's based on your greed and my greed. You want to live, you want to breathe, you want more. If we all agree on the fact that you want to live, you want to breathe, and you want more, and we respect each other's rights in this particular regard, we can succeed. That's what this is based on. You can say, hey, but how about if we base it on some lofty, high goals? And now you're going to start going into utopia and communism and all that other BS. It tends not to work. Okay, but let me just tell you a quick story about money, and then we'll go on. Sorry, Solo, I might get maybe a tad long-winded here, but not too much. Okay, let me tell you a little story. Why is money needed to begin with? Okay, money solves a problem called the double coincidence of wants. Okay, so money is a commodity. It could be salt, it could be gold, it could be cell phone minutes. Whatever it is, it's got to be something, some kind of commodity. It has to have certain attributes to it, like fungibility, divisibility. Fungibility just means like 1 grain of salt here is 1 grain of salt there. I can exchange grains of salt with you, right? An ounce of gold is an ounce of gold is an ounce of gold. It's replaceable, it's fungible, and also it's got to be divisible. Cell phone minutes, for example, a cell phone minute is a cell phone minute. I can divide it into 60 seconds, so on and so forth. Now, but why do we need this commodity that we denominate all other commodities by? It's basically simple. Imagine you and I in an island. No, you, me, and Solo are in an island. Solo raises sheep. I sell potatoes, right? But I need sheep, okay? It's some kind of festival coming up and I need some sheep, okay? How can I get sheep? I got to exchange with Solo, right? In other words, we cannot produce everything. We got to transact. But Solo does not want my potatoes. So barter is the old system. Barter
Wait,
is the
wait,
old
wait,
technology
wait.
by which we do
Pause.
this.
Yo, Ike, pause, man. Pause, bro.
What?
Pause. You said potatoes, bro. Pause.
I'm Michael Jordan.
Potato?
Stop it. Get some help.
Is there something I'm missing here? Is potatoes a some kind of
I
slang
mean,
for something
keep
else?
going, Ike. Just keep going. Just keep going, man.
Solo does not want my potatoes. Okay, he doesn't want my potatoes, but I need the sheep. But guess what? In this island, we all have cell phone. We all use cell phones, right? And I'm like, hey, how about I give you cell phone minutes, right? And you're like, how many cell phone minutes for your sheep? And you're like, oh, 10,000 cell phone minutes for this one, right? And then boom, I transfer 10,000 cell phone minutes to you. Therefore, cell phone minutes becomes the money. It is that product or that commodity that has these attributes of fungibility, divisibility, and we can denominate all other commodities with it so that we solve this problem of double coincidence of wants. The chances that you want potatoes and I want sheep are really low. So guess what? When I go and get your sheep, I don't have to worry about what you want. I just give you cell phone minutes. So now in this island, cell phone minutes becomes our money. It could be gold, it could be salt, it can be fiat currency, it can be crypto. Whatever it is a commodity that has certain attributes such that we can denominate. I just said all that to say this. You're not going to exist as a human being without money. There is no such thing, right? There is no such society where you're not going to run into this problem, which I just described in this island, where you're not going to need some kind of a means of solving that problem. Okay, good. Let's get practical for a second. One of the main things that people need to do when it comes to the practicality is they need to talk about the kind of lifestyle that they want. Kevin Samuels, shout out to him, always asks people this. Like, okay, you want to be married? How many kids do you want? Well, what do you want to live? How many cars? Would you like to work this? Da, 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 that kind of a thing. So I would like to go around the panel. Okay. Number one, how important is it to have a clear vision? And it may not be a static one, it may be a moving target as to the life that you actually want. And how much of that have you come into? And how much of that can you clearly see? For me, it is this. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm one of those people that you call a polymath. What does that mean? That means I'm very good at a lot of things. Okay, it just is what it is. I'm not throwing shade at you, Solo. I'm gonna keep on. I'm doing preemptive strikes today, Solo. I know you come from me every day, every Sunday, but today I've already lobbed 2 missiles your way. But basically, it means this. Okay, I could be a musician, I could be a doctor, or this or that, or blah 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 blah. Why do I want money? What's the lifestyle that I want? I want enough money to be able to practice as many things, right? Whether it be the philosophy, the writing of books, the shall we say the creation of music, the all kinds of different things that I'm good at. I want enough money to be able to live that life of leisure. They call it the life of leisure, the scholarly life, the life of doing the crap I want to do. And it takes a lot of money to do that. It takes a lot of money to be able to fly into Africa, for example, and check out what's going on with my real estate, building some real estate things out here. Plus, I have a little taxi cab company that I'm doing out here in Accra, Ghana, for example, while also running the business over there in the United States, while also being able to just fly into LA, record something in the recording session in the studio, stop by in some particular concert in Minnesota where I hop on stage with somebody, right? Let's say Pato Banton or something, and I do a feature with him, and then go back. This is the kind of life I want. This is the kind of life I'm building for myself. This is the kind of money, therefore, that it takes. And we're not going to get to the amount yet. I'm just talking about the clarity as to the life that you want. And it could be basic. I just kind of described something more complex. Okay. But it could be basic, as in, where do you want to live? What kind of car do you want to have? How many people in your family? Do you know what it costs? So, Ramil, what are your thoughts as to how important it is to have this vision? And do you have a clear vision? We go again counterclockwise, starting with Ramil.
It's very important to have this vision, because if you don't have it, you're gonna be walking around lost, like a chicken with its head cut off, like most of society. This is why most of society is dumb, because they don't have a vision. I do have a vision for myself, and it's more so along the lines of real estate ownership more than actual liquidity. Even though, if you want to come up with a number, I know I'm going to have. See, I don't like to talk about stuff like this, but I got goals. I put it like that. But I'm on the line of more real estate ownership and skills. You know what I mean? I like cash flow.
Ramil, let me ask you something, because this is something that's a big part of what we're talking about. One thing I notice a lot about Americans is they don't like talking about money, right? There's this.
No, I like talking about money. I like talking about money. It's just that I'm more aware of the space that we're in, and talking about money specifically, it's just not. It's just. I mean, you
Ah,
know,
I get you,
I,
but you
I
see the
actually agree
problem.
with
You
you.
see the problem I'm
I'm
talking about, right?
I'm an entrepreneur, so but money is I have to talk about money all the time. But most people
Yeah.
are not on that wavelength. So you just start strictly talking about money and numbers. Like, hey, okay, this is this amount of money right here. You know, you throw a lot of people off. Like you send them, you throw them on the defensive. They get on the defensive. You know, so you know, and that's a problem. And a lot of
Yes.
Americans don't want to talk about money, and this is the reason why America is kind of declining because people don't want to have a conversation. Okay, what's the number? What are the numbers? You know, so you're right. You know what I mean? So I'm more aware of the space I'm in before I just really just start. Plus, people like getting your business and things like that. Like if I say a number, there's gonna be a lot of haters out here because, like I said, people know. Yeah, I'm just serious. Like if people knew where I'm at, like liquid right now as a 32-year-old black man, like I'm worth more than the white man in this, the average white man in this country, by far. You know what I'm saying? But in this space, it brings you more haters. It brings more people being mad at you and things like that. When all they got to do is step their skills up, and you can have people pay you every day. You know what I mean? But that, to answer your
I like
question,
it.
you know, you're right.
I like it. I like it. I like it. So, Chantel, the lifestyle. I
Read
mentioned
the
also
super
Dr.
chat.
Salute, big salute, y'all. AM1 with the $5 super chat. Right, that's the Mount. Is it a trumpet? Whatever that thing is. Shout out for the $5 super chat, much appreciated.
Shafar.
But pardon me,
Shafar.
shafar. What is shafar?
That's the instrument. It's
Oh, okay.
the horn looking thing. Yeah. Anyhow.
Our resident musicologist sounds Persian or is out there in one of them desert places. But Chantel, before we go to Dr. Thunder, okay, I mentioned Kevin Samuels, and Kevin Samuels tends to bring it up vis-a-vis women, right? Because the thing is, as a woman, you do tend to have more of, anyways, like, there is more of an option where you can be like, I can combine, right? Or maybe I can, yeah, maybe I can strike it. Maybe I can find a Jeff Bezos out there or something, right? And how do I get a Jeff Bezos and whatever it may be, right? How important is it to have an idea of the kind of lifestyle that you would want, the numbers behind it, which we'll get to next, and then how you get those numbers, we'll get to next. We'll get really practical with it. But how important is it, that vision? And what do you think also about something that Ramil brought up, which is something I noticed, which is Americans don't like to talk about money. You can't really tell people how much you make. And it's like, oh, it's kind of uncouth and so on and so forth. Like, it's uncouth if you're a billionaire to talk about money. Okay? When you're broke, there's no kind of like, oh, I don't talk about money. Nigga, you broke. Okay? What are you talking about? You got no money to talk about, right? It's one thing if you're this upper class person and you're living on this high level of I'm an aristocrat and we don't talk about money, money's beneath us. But money is not beneath you. And you need to be talking about money all day, all night. But anyways, Chantel, what is your take on this?
Wait. I know exactly what Ramil is trying to say. When Ramil is talking about money, he's talking about, and you gave him an exact number, right? So when you throw exact numbers out there, it makes you a target. And I'm not just making this up. I've seen this where one of my crypto mentors, right, how he blew up was he would show his portfolio, how much was in each coin and this and that. Now,
Got
those are
hacked.
receipts. Those are receipts, as we say, right? However, when you make it publicly known, you don't know who's watching. And guess what? His computer ended up being hacked. They got his keys, and he lost $2 million worth of crypto. So I that Ramil,
No,
am I
no,
saying
No,
that
no
no,
right?
exact numbers.
you are 100% right. That's why I don't, man, bro. Like
No
we
exact numbers.
solo,
No
you know
exact
how
numbers.
niggas
I'm talking about
are.
a
You know what I'm
lifestyle.
saying?
Yeah. So I get where he's coming from, Ike. So I'm not like Ike, I'm not saying
Lifestyle,
you're wrong or nothing
lifestyle.
like that. But I'm just saying I get where Ramil is coming from. That's all I wanted to say.
But
No,
who was on? We
but
don't.
Wait, hold up.
we're
Chantel?
going to Chantel, and again, it's about the
Yes,
lifestyle.
I'm on.
Yeah.
To answer, is I here? I think I left. But to answer the question, it's different for me as a woman who wants to actually let her husband lead the household. So I can't come on and say like, oh, I want to do this, this, and this. Like how Ramil said, he wants to do real estate, he wants to do something specific. But I do know that I don't want to have to work my current 9 to 5 after pregnancy. So before pregnancy, I'm doing things that I have to do to set up passive income. That way, I can still contribute financially. Um, when after I have kids. So as I said, to be specific in like what direction I want to go in, that all depends on what direction my husband wants to. If he wants to do real estate, if he wants to do whatever he wants to do, I don't have anything specific in that sense, but I know specifically I still want to contribute financially to the household. I think that answers your question, Ike.
100%. Am I here solo?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because it seems like I inadvertently and automatically drop off from time to time. So, Dr. Thunder, any idea as to the lifestyle things, the kinds of things you would like to do? Some people say silly things like, "Oh, I would like to travel," like all that bullshit crap or whatever. But even if that's your thing, whatever it is, the kinds of things that you would like to do, because that's the first thing before. Well, how much and how can I fit it in, right? Because I know, as I mentioned my things, like there are many things that I like to do. I want to be able to do them. It takes money to do them, right? And then how can I fit all these different things in, right? So I know that I got to be I can't be in a 9 to 5, for example, right? I left that alone a long time ago, even though I still have a corporate gig. It's a sales gig, and then I have a gig I have a company that I run. Plus, I'm doing real estate stuff. These things allow me to then do those other things that I want to do, such as whether it's YouTube or it's the music or whatever it may be, right? So, what is the lifestyle thing, and how important is it to have that clear vision in your mind, including the private school for your kids or whatever?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's quite important. And, something that I talk to my students about is having a set of goals, and those goals will be revised frequently. So this is the way that I tell them to do that. You start with your dream goal, and the dream goal is not something that you consult others for the realistic, to see if it's realistic or not. No, it's whatever your dream is, whatever you in your heart of hearts, what you want to do. And then after you've established your dream goal, then you set up long-term goals. Now, the long-term goals would logically and necessarily lead to the dream goal. Then you set up intermediate goals. The intermediate goals would necessarily lead to the long-term goals, which leads to the dream goal. And then, of course, short-term goals. And you can even get more specific than that. To achieve short-term goals, you can have to-do lists. You can have lists of things that that you have to accomplish for this week, for next week, and so on. But what happens in your life is, as you get to the point where you accomplish some of the dream goals, you need to quickly come up with some other dreams, right? And so let me give you an example of a dream goal that I had at one time. So one of my dream goals was to become a tenured professor at a major university. Okay, so when I achieved that goal, then the next goal was I want to become the director of my department. Okay. So I achieved that goal. So now what do I do? Now I can sit there and do nothing, or I can create some other goals for myself. So after I had tenure, and it was not necessary to do so, to thrive in the academy, I decided that I wanted to pursue a doctorate. Okay, and it took some time for me to get off the fence with it, but once I finally made the decision, I said, okay, I'm going to do that. It took me about 5 years because I was working full time. Of course, I was the director of jazz studies at the institution I'm at. I was also working 25 hours a week at a church. My son was just born. Of course, I'm married. All of the gigs and everything else that I was doing and trying to stay active in the gym and all of that kind of stuff. But I set that goal, and it took me about 5 years to complete it. And the institution was about 2 hours away from where I live. So I was 12 hours in the car on top of all of that. Now, I'm saying this stuff to say that part of being able to get yourself from point A to point B is having something that's quantitative and that's finite. And even when you're in the tunnel, as long as you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, you know that you can handle all of the sort of the turmoil, the stress, the anxiety, the lack of sleep, all of the stuff that comes with trying to accomplish certain goals. All of my goals, there's the end goal is there's a monetary component. I'm not just doing this stuff just for fun. I'm doing this stuff because as I am able to, like, for instance, the Dr. Thunder thing, I'm not the type that would call myself doctor if I didn't actually have a doctorate. So that was part of what came after that, and how I'm trying to use that whole remarketing to generate more passive income. I've said frequently I want to be able to always have my son in private school. He goes to a Catholic school, and as he's 8 years old now, he's in second grade, but as things develop, it's going to become more expensive. I want to live in a better house, a bigger house. I mean, I own my home, but I want to live in a bigger house. I want to live out in the country, like I grew up. There's a long list of things that I want to be able to accomplish. And my wife has never had to work. And she drives a vehicle that's better than my vehicle, substantially so. So all of those things, there's a dollar amount associated with those items. And I have fortunately been able to tie things that I really love doing with being able to also make money. Everything that I do is music related. I mean, some of the stuff that I do on YouTube is not music related, but everything in my life has been facilitated by that first love of music. So yeah, I mean, you have to get good at something, and then you have to figure out how to make money with it. And then you have to be unrelenting, and you have to keep doing it. The Bible says that if you don't work, you don't eat. So get to work. You're muted, Ike.
Oh, you should have just let him talk. Dang.
Oh man, I'm already slipping. You got me. I punched my own self. So like, damn, you're good. You're good. You got me like I'm in your home country. Maybe you got your special spells already laid out on the ground over here. So Solo, okay. Dr. Thunder has said many great things. Chantel has said many great things. Same thing with Ramil. I also started this off, but for you, right? How many pogs, right, is it going to take to satisfy Solo? How many? What kind of rotation and plate spinning? What is the lifestyle, if you will, Solo? That's what we're talking about. And how important do you think it is to have a vision of? Because people talk about happiness a lot, right? Happiness tends to be a proxy for the being choices. Let's just call it choices, right? Happiness tends to be a proxy for choices. People say happiness, but really, they're really talking about choices. And in order to have choices and options, it's difficult. Hence, people kind of hide behind the whole money's not going to make you happy, when, as a matter of fact, money is going to be the direct thing that leads you to more choices and options, right? But how important is it to have that vision of the kinds of choices and the lifestyle that you would want, and any inklings that you can give to us with regards to what you would want?
Right. So the reality is, let me keep it a buck. If I'm not touching 100 million in the next decade, within the next decade, in the next 10 years, then I'm not following my roadmap. Now, anybody who's familiar with crypto, any cryptocurrency, right? They have a roadmap. What's the roadmap? The roadmap is a plan of what a particular cryptocurrency is trying to do at a particular time frame or stage. And so when you have a roadmap, right, it lets the person who's investing know where the particular cryptocurrency team is at in regards to that roadmap, in regards to accomplishing their goals and developments. Now, why did I put the 100 million out there? Okay, let's get to the lifestyle question. Um, just like you, Ike, one thing I realized when I first started traveling some years ago, what, 2013, I realized something that, I didn't want to travel um, every 4, 5, 6 months just to save money to travel. I wanted to be able to, like, when I went to Chicago and it changed my life. I told myself I want to be in a position where if I decided to travel on a whim on a weekend, I want to be able to have that luxury, right? But also, you got to have a purpose, a why, and this is just my philosophy, my ideology. It's got to be greater than yourself, like the motivational speaker Eric Thomas says, right? So, what's my purpose? My why is my parents and my family. I want to be able to buy my mom and dad a house within the next 5 years, hopefully. Buy them a house, and so that way, when they retire, my mom has her own chauffeur. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but once again, remember, my goal is 100 million. Now, how do you get to that with the roadmap? Different forms of revenue, primarily, investing, metaverse, stocks, crypto, all of that. That's a lot of my roadmap. But the reality is, for me, financial freedom is the to me is, if you're debt free, I don't care how much you make. If you make 20,000 or 20 million a year, if
Uh-oh.
you if you debt free, you're already winning.
They ain't trying to
You're
hear
already
that though, Solo.
But that's facts, though, Ramil.
They're
When you debt free,
slaves.
when you debt free, you winning. Period. I don't care if you make 20 grand a year or 20 million a year. And a lot of us are in debt regarding student loans and credit card debt, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to give too much of my goals away, because we probably have some voodoo witchcraft people watching. They're trying to put a hex on a brother, but I have goals, and listen, if I don't make it to the 100 million, there's still goals along my roadmap that are very realistic. But the ideal lifestyle, I would be for me to call you and Dr. Thunder, Ramil up. Let's go to Vegas. Chantel, you can come too. Bring some of your friends, the cute one, the light skin one you had on your channel the other day. And we go to Vegas. I can fly y'all in. Me and Chantel's friend disappear for the weekend in our hotel room. We popping bottles. Hey, all of that. You know what I'm saying? Facts. Look at Chantel. She's like, yeah, yeah. I know you like that. Let's go. Let's go.
100, 100, 100. So a lot of practical things have been said, and I would like to reiterate it. And I don't know where I'm hearing the echo from, but
It's
all
probably
good
you, because
anyways.
you're so used to hearing the sound of your own voice, Ike.
Ah, sweet. That's good timing too. You're getting better at this, Solo. Practical things with regards to, for example, I believe Ramil was the first to talk about skills. Okay, people, and this is the simplest and biggest one. Okay, people are always trying to find out the next idea, the next big thing that they're gonna do, the next multi-level marketing scheme they're gonna be part of, and all that other kind of BS. But trust me, the best, most important thing that you can do is invest in yourself, which means skill up. And I don't care what it is, whether it's a barber, you're going to be a barber, or you're going to be a dentist, or you're going to be an engineer, right? Or you're going to start on the trades or something. Basically, the skills, we've all heard of compound interest. Okay, the sweat equity that you put in today. Okay, let me just use myself as an example. Okay, the sweat equity that I put in into getting an engineering degree, and then a master's in engineering degree, and then getting licensed in 3 states, about to be 6 states right now. That thing that I did many, many years ago, okay, the amount of money that it generates now in the marketplace, the fact that I can go into the marketplace and say, hey, it's me. I'm CEO of Prometheus Engineering, and ABC will cost you XYZ, and people just give it to me. It's way, way, way more than I could ever get trying to be the next, the 10 millionth person that's selling hair or joining some multi-level marketing scheme, struggling to be the 0.001% of some pyramid scheme out there. You could start today. You could start today and get a little bit of a skill. As I said, there are many, many examples of things that it requires a skill to do: dentistry, carpentry, whatever it may be a CPA, whatever it may be. And when you get that one thing, continue to level up on that skill. Drafting, for example, in my field, which is engineering, drafters are very, very important. These days, they do 3D modeling. So it's not just simple drawing on paper anymore. You're modeling it 3D in a computer. Go to community college, probably in 2 semesters, you got a drafting kind of certificate. You can put yourself out there in some kind of a is it Skillshare or whatever the hell they call it? I found somebody recently, by the way. I was in a tight pinch. I needed Revit modeling. Shout out to those who understand what I mean. Revit is Autodesk software. I found this guy called Zuhair. He came in. He saved my butt on this particular project. Okay, and now Zuhair, I look at as an integral part of the team. Zuhair is going to go places. Why? Because he got this particular skill. He put himself out there, and I was able to give him his first opportunity. So skills are important. Another thing is do the math. This is something that we learn in sales or in any kind of thing. Dr. Thunder already alluded to this. You have to have something that's quantifiable and finite. What does that mean? That means, hey, you want $1 billion? Well, what's the math? You can ask one person for $1 billion, or you could ask a billion people for $1, right? Whatever the math is, and then how often do I need to do it? If I need to close 100 deals a month, okay, how many calls do I need to make in order to close 100 deals? Right? 100 deals is kind of crazy. Depends on what you're selling, right? But the point is there is a number and then there's another number, let's say the percentages that of your close. If you have to make 100 calls to close one, well, guess what? You're going to need to make 1,000 calls in order to close 100 deals. That's the idea. So you got to have the math down. And that's why I started from the lifestyle. Like, okay, this is the lifestyle that I want. How much does it take? And then what's the math to get there? Okay, I need to skill up this much to be able to get this much money. And in order to get to the next level, I need to put in this many hours. It's all quantity, 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 quantity. It's not, at that point, it's no longer a miracle. You could be like, damn, that's a lot of phone calls, right? You can say, hey, 1,000 phone calls is a lot of phone calls, but at least it's something that's finite, right, Dr. Thunder? It's not some kind of woo-woo crazy dream. It is something that can be done. You can actually make 1,000 phone calls, right? So that is 100. That's what I wanted to say before we move on, because we're going to get drilled down into the specifics of the skilling up and the particulars and the specifics of how you get there. But I want to talk a little bit something about, let's say, whom is responsible for this, okay? Because one of the problems I find in some communities, okay, is that a lot of people want to go for the politics first before they go for the economics, right? For example, we said things such as, well, there's globalization. Some people's mindset is to, oh, well, let's shut down the borders. Let's get Biden to give us more money. Let's get them to create these particular kinds of union rules so that I can cut out a little segment of the market for myself. In other words, they want to go into this political, rush into the pie, block some people out solution, right? Let's go protest. Let's go rally. Let's increase the minimum wage. Now, with regards to the simple question of, is it a political solution? Is it a government solution? Is it 100% on the individual? I know nothing's ever 100% in any particular case, right? But what exactly is your view with regards?
This nigga clowning, bro.
What are you talking to me or are you talking?
Keep going. I'm sorry. I keep going, bro. I'm just messing with you, man. I'm surprised you didn't notice the banner yet.
Look, man, I'm focused out here. I'm out here preaching, as the super chat says. Ike's preaching on this good Sunday. Shout out to Chantel Simone, $4.99, the $5 super chat. Okay, so we'll start with Ramil. I think I already know where you're going to go with this, Ramil. But when it comes to people talking about political solutions or community-oriented solutions, I believe in community-oriented solutions. For me, politics is like, shut the hell up. What the hell are you even talking about? You need economics first before you do politics. So that's backwards, right? You can't go around throwing political muscle around when there are people who actually have the money, okay? You know what I mean? So when you have the money, then you can talk politics. You're talking about a different sphere at that point. But community might be important. That's a personality thing, though. For people like Ramil and myself, we're highly individualistic, no shade, probably kind of introverted people who just want to do our thing, right? But Ramil, individual responsibility, economics versus politics, where does the problem, where are we going to solve this, starting with Ramil? And then I'm going to have a slight tweak on how I'm going to ask Chantel the situation. But go ahead, Ramil.
It's never going to be solved So you might as well just get it how you live because I mean it's the cream gonna rise to the top. You're not gonna. It's always gonna be 80-20. You know what I mean? So all these conversations about, oh, we need to, this political party needs to do this. I don't care who's in office. I'm gonna get it. I'm going to get it. So as far as I'm concerned, it's just you gotta let people stay at the level they at, and they have them conversations. Because if you're working on yourself, working on your skills, and becoming as talented as you can be, you know, it don't matter what political economic climate is out there, you're gonna strive regardless. So I mean, I let them have them conversations. I let the sheep, the cattle, have the mass have those conversations.
All right, all right, all right. So, Chantel, I'm going to add an additional aspect to to the question for you because you're the woman in the panel, and you said something about the man in your life. Now, presumably you want a certain kind of man, and other women tend to want that. You know, like Chris Rock said, you know, you all want the same dude, but no shade, no shade. Now, in addition to the aspect of, you know, is this a community responsibility? Is it an individual responsibility? Are we going to solve it through politics? Should black people go vote, whatever, legislate, blah, blah, blah? Or is it more individual? But also specifically from the woman's perspective, how can women out there, right, put themselves in a position to get what they want vis-a-vis that man that you talked about, right? That man that you talked about, what you're going to get on this program. Add that to the answer to the question as to the responsibility, individual, community, but also how can women better afford themselves, you know, the ability to find the right kind of man that they would want, economically speaking, right?
Okay, so to answer the first question, no, the government is not going to help us. If they haven't already, why we think that they're going to help us in the future? I definitely think it's individual. We just got to, as Ramil said, focus on yourself, do what you have to do. If you want a difference, and just focus. I mean, it sounds selfish, but just focus on yourself and your immediate family. Don't try to save everybody. Les Brown always says it's a full-time job trying to change yourself, much less trying to save everybody. To answer the question about what women are going to have to do to get the man that everybody wants is to find out what he wants. It's more than just wanting him, and it's more than just spending time with God to get him. But that specific man, that particular kind of man, wants something. So be find out what he wants and then become what he wants, if that's what you want, because at the end of the day, a man like that have options. If all women 80% of women want 20% of the men. So if he's wanted by so many women, it's your responsibility to become what that kind of man want. And that just means become coachable. Every man wants the standard thing, but every guy is different. He might want something different from his woman depending on what field he is, depending on who he is. So be coachable and be able to adjust to that guy's standard.
Be coachable, be able to adjust. It's not about just wanting him and spending time with God. Shout out to Doug. Shout out to Doug, the winner of the last Negro Manosphere Awards, the $5 super chat for the moderators, right? You were a co-host of that solo, right? So you can co-sign the fact that I'm correct in that Doug won one of the categories, right? But
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
yeah, you forgot, didn't you? You forgot. So, Dr. Thunder, when it comes to the question of there's a community aspect to things, because you know what, like in that community that I described, for example, where Solo is making, you know, he's got the sheep, I got the potatoes, and blah blah blah. The fact that that community exists is good for everybody, right? So I agree to a certain extent with community, but it's got to be community of people that can actually do things, okay? Then there's the political aspect. And for me, I say, hey, it's economics over politics. If you're talking politics and you don't have the economic power yet, you're the pawn. Okay, you're the fool in the room. You just don't realize it yet. Somebody is playing you. You just don't realize it yet. If you think you're just gonna go in there and agitate people into giving you what you want, with no, shall we say, consequences of a particular kind that are not advantageous to you, then you're completely missing out on something. Now, Dr. Thunder, can you answer the question as to do with economics versus politics? Is this a mainly individual issue? Can there be a community-oriented approach to this? And you may even add the problem side. Was this a community problem? Was it a governmental problem? Was it an economic problem? Is it purely a globalization issue? Like, why are we in this economic situation that we're in? Solo, give us some stats. The millennials are the first generation in the United States that can expect to do worse than their parents. This has never happened before. Okay, so take it away, Dr. Thunder.
Yeah. So, something that I have frequently said is that there are sort of two schools of thought with respect to improving our race or our racist standing in America. There's the W.E.B. Du Bois method or approach, which is I'm being very cut and dry. It's very generalized, which is protest. And then there is the Booker T. Washington approach, which is to become the best you as possible so as to be the best representation of your race, and to individually, on a one-to-one basis, change people's opinions about Black people. Also, obviously, you're doing so to improve your own situation, not just opinions of your race, but your own, your own pocketbook. You're getting promoted in the business, in whatever the company is, because you are doing the best job. You're working harder. You're working more hours. You're always respectful. You're always on time. You're the consummate professional, right? You're not making excuses. You don't have 1,000 reasons why you can't, be at work, on time. You're not the person that is always taking sick days, right? Because you'd rather be at work producing than staying at
I
home.
thought the calendar was racist. This phallogocentric time, logic-based time stuff. That's all. That's a white man's stuff. Right?
Right. Right. And yeah, the so I mean, where I tend to go with these kinds of things is certainly at a level, politics is important, and you must be paying attention to what's going on, to what's happening. Local politics, of course, is going to be much more impactful on you. In national elections, really only about 3% of policy actually affects us. There's only about 3% policy change. All right, so all of the belly aching and all of the animation and everything towards us voting in national elections, none of that stuff really helps us. It all starts with the individual. The individual improves themselves and then improves their family, right? One of the reasons why I got the doctorate was about establishing a standard. It was about establishing a standard for my family. Heck with my community if my family is not first served. So it was all about establishing something for my family. My son will look at me and he'll think, you know what? Well, my dad went and got a doctorate. And matter of fact, when he was doing his doctorate, he was working 5 jobs and driving 2 hours to and from 3 days a week. So I guess what excuse do I have? Right? So I think that kind of stuff is most impactful. And if you want to change something, a dynamic, then you have to look in the mirror first, make those changes, and see how those changes can impact your family. And then, community and society is nothing but a bunch of families. And it's one of the reasons why in the black community we have so many issues. Look, we don't have an issue with, you know, generating money. We have money. Black folks spent. I mean, this is the latest stat I could locate, and it might be 2019, 2018. But we spent 1.7 trillion dollars. 1.7 trillion dollars. Now it was all spastic and wild and not spent in constructive sort of ways because our dollar only lasts in our community for 6 hours. 6 hours. All of that money spending, and the money only lasted in our community for 6 hours. That's the problem. So we have to stop valuing stuff that's keeping us broke.
All right, all right, all right. Before we go to solo, I think that a quick recap of the things that we have agreed upon, the things upon which the case has been closed, as the title of the show is, right? We've closed the case on the fact that you need more money than you think. Hulk Hogan could not defend himself against Gawker. He's a millionaire, okay? When it came to a lawsuit, he could not defend himself. What kinds of emergencies are you not ready for, right? We all know the stats about the $400 that Americans do not have for an emergency, the $1,000 that they do not have for an emergency. Most people cannot take care of the 2 square feet around them. But even after you take care of that 2 square feet, how much more money do you actually need for these choices that you say that you want? Hey, the system is doing this and the system is doing that. I would like to not be part of the system. Well, get the money and put your kids in private school then. Get the money and get out of that particular neighborhood then, right? You need a whole lot more money than you think you do. And guess what? The economy is such, this is another thing we've closed the case on, that globalization, okay, has put you out of a lot of work, such that you need to skill up big time because you're competing against Ling Ling's dad, right? And all that kind of stuff, right? Also, job security is not what it was because people were lied to regarding growth. Economic growth was something that we were just told was going to keep on happening forever. But in fact, it's all being financed actually on the individual level through debt. Another thing is we were sold a bill of goods called the American dream, right? We were told that being the middle class means that you should be able to afford certain things. But as a matter of fact, it does not compute. The median income, the modal income, the average income, the statistical measures of whatever middle is, okay? We have statistical measures of whatever middle is. Let's just say $50,000, roughly speaking, right? $50,000 does not give you the middle class lifestyle. $50,000 is broke. But still, there's that ideal out there. People go to the election booth every other year or whatever it may be, voting for some idiot who told them something about how they're going to fight for the middle class and how, you too are going to every chicken in every pot and all that bullshit. It's not going to happen. You have got to make it happen. You are going to need that $2 million minimum when you hit 65. Otherwise, you are going to be, especially for men, there is no glass ceiling. You are the one that's going to end up, underneath the 405 while Solo drives past you in his Bentley, and with two pogs in the back. Okay, it's gonna be, and you are the one that's gonna have yourself to blame about it. No one else. No one else. So we've also established the fact that it's gonna be on you. It's gonna be on individuals. It's gonna be on families, and that with families, then you can start to talk about the community thing. So just like I talk about the economics first and then politics, it's you and then family before you talk about community. All that hotep babble about how we got to come together and do this and that. Meanwhile, you haven't made that 1,000 phone calls I was talking about. If you haven't done the math on the lifestyle that you want, and you're not making those thousand phone calls that it takes to close the 10 deals that it takes to make that money that you need, then you're not beginning yet. But having said all that, Solo, what do you have to say about the question which is on the table right now, which is individual responsibility, social responsibility, politics over economics, or shall we say, is it all on you, sir?
Yeah, I mean, Ike, I have a question for you. Did you hear
Yeah.
last year that Amazon and certain other companies make the most profits during this whole pandemic than they've ever made
Yep.
in the history of
Yes,
the
sir.
company.
Yes,
So
sir.
before I get into that, let's go because Ike, man, there's certain questions you had that I prepped for, and now you see, Ike, that's Ike. We got to work on your long-windedness, brother. Like after this, man, we're gonna do a solo YouTube coaching session, bro. Like real talk, Ike. I'm gonna school you, and you too, Doctor Thunder. Real talk. Don't take it personal, guys. I'm a veteran at this. Right? Shout out to Six Cells with the $5 super chat. Watch Ike, man. Ike right now slamming his face down like, I ain't working with this nigga no more. Who does he think he is? He's like, I got light skin privilege. All right. So I'm pardon my dry lips, man. I was so like Ike was so long winded. I ran and got some cupcakes. You know what I'm saying? Facts. Anyway, let me continue. Chantel is laughing in the back. Yo, Chantel, you feel me? Like, I mean, come on now. All right. So here's the thing. Last year, when Amazon and all these companies were making record profits, right? And I was just in the cut. I was paying attention to that, right? And you're gonna see more of this happening within the next couple of years, particularly when there's gonna be a stock market and crypto market crash. It's going to create a new class. The middle class is already dead, Ike. You alluded to that. You mentioned that, right? The middle class is dead. We're going to have a new form of racism, if you want to call it that. It's going to be the ultra rich and then the poor. Middle class is probably going to be millionaires. The ultra rich is going to be billionaires and trillionaires. You're going to see that more common. And I know some people think I'm sounding crazy right now, but if you would have told me 2 years ago that we would be in a pandemic, I would have thought you were crazy. If you would have told me last year we would be looking at a food shortage, supply chain shortage, I wouldn't have called you crazy because I actually, Dr. Thunder, wasn't I calling that the whole last year and everybody else said Solo's crazy? That's facts.
Yep, you were. Yep, that's true.
That's facts. Remember, I was calling it and people are like, yo, Solo's bugging. Fast forward a year later, and now what are we talking about? A food and supply chain shortage. So when I'm talking about crypto, what do you think they're going to be talking about in 2022? Okay, now you guys are keeping up. Okay, so let's get back to the topic. So Ike, back to your question. How is it that Amazon and OnlyFans, which was relatively unknown at that point, exploded with profits, right? So I studied OnlyFans in more ways than just the pod, Chantel, because, you know, I like I said, Chantel, holler at your light skin friend, your dark skin, whatever. As long as they bad, I'm with it. I'm with it. But I studied it, and guess what? There's always gonna be a need for certain things, food, consumer goods, things like that. But also, regardless of how the economy is, this is where people who are very creative and innovative can step in and shine. Because there's going to be people that can come in and even when things are looking bad, they can prosper, right? With a niche or a niche and whatever that may be. You have now these companies coming up with this metaverse, right? And Ike, I know you're going to spend a lot of time there because let's be real. I got Ghanaian wife always yelling at you and you eating the fufu. I see your midsection's getting a little tighter. I'm not saying tighter like mine because I'm losing weight, but yours is getting a little, the suits is looking a little tight there, son. I mean, I'm just saying, you the homie, but you eating too much fufu. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, back on topic. So the reality is, Ike, like Ramil said, you're always going to try to get it, right? But is that realistic? It depends on your business model. It depends on how you execute, right? That's something that you've talked about in the past, Ike, is execution. Anybody can have an idea, but can you execute that idea into fruition? Can you make something happen when there's nothing, right? And so the way I look at it is that at the end of the day, we have no choice but to grind and make it. Over on my channel, and Dave, my lips are looking really crusty. Hold on, I got to wipe this off, man. This is embarrassing. I look like Tyron Biggums right now on crack. Anyway, there we go. There we go. We good. So what I'm saying is this, Ike. Even people in the 80s, they said it was in a recession, and people were making money hands over fists, right? In the 70s, there was definitely a recession. People are still making money, right? Even if there's a bad economy, people are still making money. You got to be the trendsetter, the innovator, and figure out where is that need? where's that need of demand that you can supply? You feel me? And once you figure it out, you will prosper. Now, shout out to Affy Kingdom Podcast. Salute to Affy. He says, Blessing Solo TV and the panel, Ramil, Ike, Doc, Chantel, and chat room. Salute to Affy in the building. Appreciate you, player. And yeah, Ike, that's a good question. Now, one thing I do want to add, since Ike, you and Dr. Thunder get to be long-winded, but I don't get to be long-winded on my own channel. So this time I'm gonna be long-winded like a mofo, right? But I'm gonna add a couple jokes while I'm long-winded. There's something, Ike, that you mentioned in the email, that an individual will need about $2 million to retire at 65 and survive until 85, right? So when we're talking about political climate now, where now they're talking about they're getting rid of Social Security because there's not going to be enough money in the next decade or so, right? When you look at the fact that, people, especially, let's be honest, Black people, how many of us are investment savvy? And I'm not even talking about cryptos or stocks, but how many of us are even putting money in our 401k, right? And one thing I've noticed, Ike, and this may be a question for you, I noticed that my friends, whether they're Black, white, whatever race, doesn't matter, the ones that seem to be financially savvier, and I know that's not a word, are the ones that either one, they grew up in a household where their parents taught them these things. So that way they got a leg up, right? Meaning that you're sitting there having dinner with your parents and your dad is telling you about stocks and he's telling you about mutual funds or crypto or real estate. You have a leg up. A lot of us, let's be honest, even myself, we ain't had no parents break down investing to me. Mom just said, put it in the 401k. Okay, well, yeah, but that's not how you get to wealth, Ike. We know that. The wealthy people are the ones, scared money don't make no money, right? The wealthy people are the ones that are investing. The wealthy people are the ones that when they get the profits of the investment, then they invest it again, or they buy something that can be an asset instead of a liability. And a lot of us aren't taught that in the household. So when you send that email and talk about people will need $2 million to retire at 65 and survive till 85, well, Ike, did you account inflation for that? And
So
I'm gonna read the super chat before I pass that to you. Shout out to
Go
Perez.
ahead.
He says, correct. For a inventive mind, the field is ripe. Some of the greatest inventions came out of the Depression. Facts, because people got to get creative. Facts. Bro Truth says, great show. Salute to Perez and Great Truth. Bro Truth, excuse me. I see you got the army pick there, looking dope. Appreciate you. All right, Ike, back to you.
So the $2 million does take into account inflation, but it's a very, shall we say, inflation between 1.5 and 3%, which is generous, right? Which is, it's very like okay, things are not going to be so bad, right? And then also it gives you a generous like 7 to 10% on your $2 million every year, right? And then in about 20 years, you'll run out. That's what that says. And that's $2 million right now in today's dollars. Okay. Now, by the time you're 65, by the time we're 65, it's not going to be that amount anymore. And by the time we're 65, we don't know what the shall we say, inflation is going to be, and also interest rates, which goes to the point that you mentioned about your mom just telling you to save money. It was a smart thing to save money back in the day when you could actually get up to 10% in the bank. It's almost like crazy. It's like we cannot even imagine. There was a time where you would actually put money in your bank account and the bank will actually give you money. Isn't that crazy? It used to be that way. There actually was interest, right? But that does not exist. That's just one of the things that we're mentioning, okay? We talk about the fact that pensions no longer exist. We talk about globalization. Interest rate, the feds are keeping it artificially low because of all the quantitative easing and all that kind of stuff that is going on, okay? But the $2 million, you're correct, Solo. It's very generous still. It's still generous because if the inflation is going to continue to spike up the way that you alluded to earlier, then it's going to get eaten away much quicker. And you may not have the investment vehicles to give you the percentages which that particular $2 million assumes is going to give you and then last for 20 years. But I know it's already past 20 minutes past the hour, right? This must have been a really good one because the time has gone by fairly quickly, right? I don't know if
Yeah,
it's
because
just
I
me.
was long winded for once, so that's why.
But uh, I'm going to give us the opportunity to basically land the plane with regards to like our big picture pointers, because we've already admitted that you need more money than you think, okay? And you need to do the math. You need to understand the lifestyle that you want and the fact that it's going to take a certain amount of money. What is the math to getting that money? It's not going to come out of the sky or the fairy dust, pixie, rainbow, unicorn, whatever the hell you think is going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Okay. And all the crap that people told you about money and, oh, don't talk about money and money's not going to make you happy and all that BS, that's crap. Money is a tool. Okay. It's like a shovel. And people start telling you about shovels don't make you happy. You're like crazy. You're like, what are you talking about? I have a task of digging holes. All of a sudden, you're telling me that shovels don't make me happy. I never said anything about happiness. I'm just trying to dig holes. Money is a tool. I describe the source of money so that we can understand
Wait,
that.
Ike, stop. I'm sorry. Did you say you're trying to dig holes?
Whichever
Oh,
way,
okay,
like
okay.
whether it's the holes or whatever it is, you need the tools, right? You need the right tools for the job. You know what I'm saying? So the
Hey,
fact
yo, Ike,
is,
I
it
don't know
is a
what you're doing
tool.
over there in Africa, bro, but you really on one today. That's all I got to say, player. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, I'm having maybe way too much fun over here. But the fact is, the money is needed more than we think. I'm going to start closing and I'm going to pass it counterclockwise as we go, as we've done before, to the main pointers. One of the main pointers is this: globalization already happened, but now it's your turn to globalize. Corporations already globalized. So why am I doing it? What am I doing in Africa? Why am I talking to you from Africa? And for the next 3 months, I'm going to be in Africa because I'm globalizing as an individual, right? You need to globalize as an individual. Why? Well, why did the corporations do it? It's almost like asking why did somebody rob the bank? It's because that's where the money is. Okay. If corporations did it, you think they're stupid? No. There's a lot of opportunity here. But you're not gonna come here. Shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson. You're not gonna come here with your broke self and your lack of skills and your baby mama drama and all the other freaking problems that you got coming from Baltimore or wherever the hell other shithole you're coming out of, coming to a new shithole trying to think that you're gonna. No, you're just gonna. It's just shit to shit with your shit. It's gonna be all shit. The same thing. You need to skill up. You need to level up your game. You need to have enough, build a pipeline. What's a pipeline? A pipeline is a flow of income, flow such that you can go to the market and demand something from the market, and the market will give it to you because you have the skills. And you're going to continue to learn every day, so you get the compounding interest of the sweat equity. Sweat equity that you put in 10 years ago can generate you so much money easily right now because it just compounds and compounds. And what you put into yourself is the one thing that's going to remain with you forever. So I say globalize and become more entrepreneurial. So let's wrap it up with our kind of final thoughts / pieces of advice. Mine is, hey, globalize. What does that mean? It means you take advantage of all the things that the corporations have taken advantage of before, which is there's skills out here in Africa, for example, where I have Ethiopian engineers working for me. The money goes long. I'm not taking advantage of them. I'm paying them more than they would get paid in Ethiopia. But I'm taking that American dollars, right? I found the right people. Okay. I get to keep a nice chunk of profit, right? No shade. I'm paying the Ethiopians, and then I take my little extra chunk of profit. I'm building apartments over here in Ghana. I made a video talking about the taxi that you can buy for like $5,000. Okay, you could give it to somebody and they pay you back in the period of 2 years. They could pay you 10 grand. Okay, in other words, the taxi business, you're the bank. You are now the bank. You're the person that is giving the person the car loan because that kind of financing does not exist here. Anyways, globalize and becoming more entrepreneurial. What you got for us, Ramil?
Yeah. So
Hey, Ramil,
basically,
can you read the super chat real quick? Thanks, bro.
shout out to the panel for facilitating this conversation. Yeah, I would just say, always be trying to become better and get more skills and understand that the world is reciprocity. So the more value you provide the world, the more the world's going to provide for you. So up your skills and continually try to provide value to the world. That's what it's all about. And then whatever you want, whatever goals you have, you will achieve because, I mean, the world's about reciprocity. It's a cold world, but it still values skills and creativity and integrity. And that's all I got.
All right, Chantel, closing thoughts and reiteration of pieces of advice.
Pieces of advice I would say to think long term. I hear an echo. Someone needs to move.
That's Ike breathing again.
I would say think long term. I mean, use your 9 to 5 to finance your business. Multiple sources of income is very important, but don't follow the social media hype that everybody's an entrepreneur and I don't like working 9 to 5. I don't want to work 9 to 5. I want to be my own boss. Um, think long term and be intentional, as Ike said. Sorry, do the math and use your 9 to 5 to finance your business and learn to stop being so self, and I'm talking to women, stop being so selfish and learn to work with your man instead of against or compete with our men. If we ever want to see black better in the black community, we're going to have to learn how to work with our men and get on their pages. Trying to secure our own bag and trying to show society that we're bosses and we're level up queens is only doing us harm, because if we need 2 mil, as you guys said, and you guys are being generous, to from age 65 to 85, you're not going to do that on your own. You're not going to do that as an independent boss. Only like the 1% is going to accomplish that from doing OnlyFans and doing social media, hair sales and lashes. So let's try to think smart and try to think more logical and realistically, and work with our men, because at the end of the day, two is better than one.
And I want to say once again, Chantel, let your light skinned homegirl know, I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? Let her know. You feel me? Yeah, player. And salute.
I'll just send her the link to this video.
All right, let her know. Salute to King Nick. King Nick will tell you, Chantel. We doing good in the crypto world. Shout out to my brother King Nick. Salute to the panel and chat. Salute to King Nick, my crypto brother in the building, always supporting. Dr. Thunder, it's on you.
Yes. Again, musician, professor, and social commentator. Come on over to my channel where the two kinds of content you'll see there is great music and conversation. In fact, I just interviewed The Angry Man. That interview just went up this past week. And lots of great stuff coming up in the future. I've got a Thursday night show. What is that? 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's my live streaming show called Thunder's Thoughts, and that's where the spicy content goes. So, this is kind of what I'm looking at right here, right there. So, start investing in Purina, because most folks ain't going to listen to nothing we just said, and they're going to still be eating dog food. So you might as well benefit. That's my time.
Okay, Dr. Thunder, you funny, man. You crack me up with that. Damn, my lips are white again. I swear, guys, I haven't been doing crack, man. I've been drinking this. But anyway, what people have to realize is that those days of pensions 401k, those days are done, right? I mean, your 401k is not going to take you that far. A pension, does that even exist with most companies, right? Most companies don't have employee loyalty these days. Why do you think the Great Resignation has happened the way it's happened, right? Millions of people leaving, right? But there's many other reasons, and I've made videos on that, so check that out. But when you look at this, right, especially for men, I know everybody's got the saying, winter's coming, winter's coming. Yeah, but guess what? Winter's coming for everybody, right? Right now, we're looking at a food supply chain shortage. You're looking at, they're talking about possible power outages because the grids, they're not able to supply all the power. And guess what? You'll be affected too. In this day and age, if you don't have multiple streams of income, then you basically setting yourself up for failure, right? You should be, if you're not working, right? If you have enough time to go to the club and spend money, but you're not making money, then what are you doing? You should be working or having different revenue streams, passive income streams, right? And I get this question asked a lot by young guys. Young guys email me, they hit me up on Instagram, how to make passive income, right? And the reality is because they don't have an idea. When I was in my 20s, I was the same way. The only thing that I can recommend is while you're trying to figure it out, right? Because a lot of the things I'm hearing is number one, I want to make more money, but I don't have an idea of what I should be doing. And I don't have the money to start a business or invest through this. Okay, I get that. Was in your shoes once as well. So this is what you do. I know guys that are making 90,000 a year, master's degree, and they're driving Uber on the side to supplement their main income. There's nothing wrong, guys, with being an Uber driver, a DoorDash driver, working part time at Walmart, whatever you have to do to get your money up, right? So you work your part time job, you that money you put it in an account that you don't even touch. And then while you're working your two jobs, the third thing that you want to do is that's what you're going to be researching. That's what you're going to be learning. So that way, whatever that may be, you by the time you jump in, you have the capital to jump in into that space, and then boom, when you have enough money saved up, you can start doing that. And then once you start seeing a very decent return, then you might not even have to work as an Uber driver anymore or at a Walmart or anything like that. And trust me, guys, I know people who have done that same technique. They're now millionaires. Okay, it's about discipline. It's about sacrifice, and it's also about something that Ramil has talked a lot about: delayed gratification. Something that all three of these things, a lot of people lack, particularly black men. We love busting on that fast. Pause. But that's what I'm saying is we have to learn how to delay our gratification, so that way we can get the inspiration. By that I mean that you can get to the next level where you want to get to. Right? For me to lose weight, Chantel, I couldn't be eating cupcakes every day, right? But guess what? On a cheat day, or more like a cheat weekend, because I get some, sometimes you go on a bender, then yeah, I'll have a cupcake, right? So the reality is that delay the gratification, but reward yourself as well. But the reality is you're going to have to grind. Nothing is going to become easy or free. Becoming an Instagram influencer is just not going to be realistic for most people. Now, if you want to do that, I'm never going to knock your dream, but you're going to have to grind, grind, grind. Everybody wants the benefits, but nobody wants to put in the work. And that's why there's a lot of people, when they go on Instagram, they go on Snapchat, Facebook, they're depressed because you see your favorite movie star or influencer, or even your friends, they're living the life that you want, but you're not willing to put the work in for it. You're working 70%, but you're trying to live 100% lifestyle. That's not how it works, right? So you're gonna have to make sacrifices. There are many nights, Ike, where I could have gone pogging on a Saturday night. Guess what? I'm working on making a YouTube video, a PowerPoint presentation. My love life is non-existent right now. Okay, it's just it's the reality of the world. Now, granted, sometimes you take, like I said, you take breaks, but the reality is you're gonna have to sacrifice something. What are you willing to sacrifice now to get to that next level? Right now, things are looking bad, but guess what? Even like I said earlier, in a recession and a bad economy, there's going to be people that are going to become millionaires, billionaires, and even possibly trillionaires. Salute to 6 sounds. Inflation is coming. Get ready. Exactly. Inflation is already here. Shout out to Fear to None with the super sticker. Salute. Yeah, guys. I think that wraps it up. I think I'll talk to you for once in that last segment. And unless you want to add anything that I just said, Ike, and then we can wrap this up. Okay, so I guess
you are muted.
He's so eager to talk.
Oh man, I don't know. Why do I even mute myself in between? Okay, I guess Well, anyways, yes, that is it. Okay, basically, you make the decision. You make the decision because that decision part is very critical. Okay, now I learned this from Grant Cardone. A lot of people give him crap or whatever, but he knows what he's talking about. When you get $1 billion in real estate, maybe then you could talk smack. Okay, but until then, keep your mouth shut. Okay, he says make the decision. in the sense that it's not the problem is not the steps to take. You've heard Solo said this many times. You can come to my channel and hear this stuff, all kinds of, you could Google it. You can find all kinds of documents that give it to you in 10 steps or 3 steps, 2.5 steps, all that stuff. The main thing is you got to make the decision first. Okay? It's not a question of what to do. The question is, why are you not doing it? And it's almost like, Kevin Samuels telling people to go to therapy to figure out why you're not making the decision. And then when you make the decision, the next thing you got to do is do the math, right? How much is it going to take? And what do I got to do? Do I got to make 1,000 calls a week in order to close 10 so that I can make the money to finance the lifestyle so that I can then invest next year, like Solo said? What is the math? Because it's going to be finite. It's not going to be an infinity thing. There's going to be a number to it. And when that number is there, it may be a big number, like, wow, I got to make 1,000 calls, but at least you got a target. You can pick up the phone and call and make 1,000 calls. You can pay and go to the community college and spend 3 semesters and get that skill, right? This number of hours, this number of, shall we say, dollars and so on and so forth. Make that decision and then do the math and then take advantage of the globalization and the entrepreneurial world. And that's all I got to say. And that's it.
All right, guys. Well, Chantel, did you want to say something? You look like you had your hand up, or were you just flexing?
No, I didn't have anything to say.
All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for watching. We are the panel known as Case Closed, and the case is closed. Peace.